That is what I'm talking about. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, to a Tuesday stream. It is 12:35 p.m. Eastern. It is day 8 of D&D with I&B Curse of Strahd, Ruud's return, or actually Vraxos's return. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you all. I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to the stream that is about to come. I am very excited, and I think everyone else will be too. I just realized that I had myself on in the Zoom call, so poor Kara was probably like, what the, Jesus? But anyway, I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to an awesome stream today that I'm excited for, and which has been some months in the coming, some months in the development. I am looking forward to it. Before I get there, a couple of reminders about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please follow the channel. That is always appreciated. If you haven't done so, please check out the YouTube channel with !ArvTube, where you can see past broadcasts of this stream. And while I'm on it, please check arvineleron.com, which is the new website for my Twitch channel, on which you'll be able to find the podcast for Curse of Strahd. We'll be releasing a new segment of this pretty much every week until we're caught up, which is the audio broadcast of this video stream. So welcome to those of you listening to the podcast version of this. I'm not even going to try to explain like what podcast audio this is compared to video, because it's going to take a long time before we figure that out. But as long as you know that this is day 8, that'll keep everyone in line, and we'll know what's going on with that. But it's always appreciated to have everyone here and checking out the podcast as well. So welcome there. If you haven't already done so, please check out the Twitter with !Arv tweets, and please do !tweet. Please retweet this stream. We'd really love to do that because it allows us to get the chance to broaden this out to an audience outside the general Twitch community. So please retweet the stream. Thank you to those of you who have already done so. Please check out my Twitter with !Arv tweets. Please join me over there. Please also check out the Discord channel with !Arvcord. The shop will get you over to the merchandise area where you can check out many things that we have for you relating to Infinity and beyond. And soon we'll have merchandise related to other things as well. So that's going to be happening too. So please check that out with !Arv shop. And then last, we've got the Patreon and we've got the subsystem. The Patreon is !Arvtreon. Would really love to see that get north of 400 again, because again, that really helps the channel financially and helps all of you out individually too. It allows you to inspire the players as well. And this is a session that you can inspire players in also. And then last but certainly not least, of course, that sub button, which has been doing really well. We have 56 subs right now. Our overall record is 70 during September, but we are definitely, I'm really happy to see that the numbers have continued to climb from where they were. They were holding steady a few months ago at about 30 or so, and they've gone up significantly and stayed there. So I'm really grateful for that. Thank you all, and let's continue to keep going with that so you can get those awesome custom sub badges and so forth. All right, with that said, we've got a very special session today, and this is a big streaming day, actually. We've got Curse of Strahd Infinity and Beyond today, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. Then we've got a horn beeping outside. Then we've got over at GOG at 4 p.m. Eastern, I will be doing my Pen and Pixel show, and I will have the release stream of Thronebreaker, which is a new Gwent-based RPG, kind of, is the way I would describe it. I'm pretty excited about this, actually. This kind of was not on my radar screen, and then I've been reading up on it over the last week or so, and it looks pretty awesome. So I'm going to be doing the release stream of that over on GOG. Please check that out. And then tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, we will be joined by the Vocalists, who will return with with one of 2 games that I've narrowed it down to. I haven't decided which one yet, but they're going to be back with the game, and we will have the full crew with us. We will have Maggie, we will have Russ, we will have Rob, and we will have Zach. So I'm looking forward to the Vocalists tonight. And then on Friday, we will be wrapping up Lone Wolf HD Remastered, and Saturday, we've got Masters of the Dungeon and D&D with viewers. So we got a lot going on over the next week. Big streaming day tonight, and I'm very excited about all of that. So with that said, today we have got an awesome return, and now I will unmute myself for real in Zoom. We have got an awesome return of a gentleman who I like a lot and is well known to all of you, and who is making today his triumphant return, a return which has long been prophesied. And in case you're wondering who this is, you're like, who could this possibly be? I will show you. Dun 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 dun. Aha! There's a bunch of player not availables, but one player is indeed available, and that, of course, is our dear friend, as I unmute him, Don Cairo. Don, what's going on, man? How are you? Welcome back to the fold, man. Welcome back in.
Glad to be here. Definitely long overdue. Thank you so much. I'm excited. This is the first time actually doing a one-on-one session too.
Yeah,
So
this is going to be cool. We are doing.
all this pressure
I
on.
know exactly. They just couldn't hold up to all the RP.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be good times. I actually really like doing some of these sessions. I did this, as I mentioned to you, but for chat, I did this with Trendane back in Rise
Mhm.
of Tiamat, where it was him and then Saad joined up. And I like those sort of small little sessions, both because it allows me to have my full focus on one player, but also because there's kind of a concentration on certain parts of backstory. And this seemed to me, exactly, IK, most available of all players was done. But I like this because I think it also gives us a chance to see someone people have been interested about sort of finding out more about like what happened to Ruud, and you're going to get a chance to talk about that. So I will ask then. It's been good to have you out. It's good to have you back. How have you been, and who are you playing today, sir?
Uh, and I will also say, I'm definitely one of those people who's been very interested to see what Rude and what Rude Vrexos has been up to, and to dive deeper into that and kind of join up. I know that the rest of the crew has definitely been through quite a bit
Yeah.
since I've disappeared, and I'm excited to be back. And so I will be playing Ruud Vraxos, the Goliath barbarian who found his way into Barovia with uh, kind of unexpected turn of events while he reached there, to say the least. Outside of the game, though, I've been doing great. Been pretty busy with work and uh, hopefully getting some more free time, and I'll be able to join back up more frequently with the rest of the crew, which I'm really looking forward to catch up here today and jump into um, future sessions and continue to see what this crazy world that we find ourselves in has to offer.
Yep. It's going to be awesome times. I am looking forward to it. Mostly, I also am looking forward to because even in the very short period of time that you were there was already just starting to be established this really kind of cool bond, the connection between you and Weller. And it's funny,
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
can't remember the last time that I had a campaign where I had a player out, planned, but out for as long, relatively speaking, that had like a presence, nevertheless. Like seriously, like every part of people's decision making process was like, well, first we have to find Ruud. Like that happened all the time, and it really cracked me up. Sorry, I have to remember we'd rather move towards Vraxos, but yeah, they have to find them. So it'll be really interesting to kind of see how that all plays out when you're actually back in terms. So it'll be as great. But yes, exactly. Well, now that we've got Maggie in there too, so we've got the full crew of 6. So I'm very excited. So, all right. So let's talk a little bit here as I fire up the music. So one thing I did want to mention was we had you leveled up to, I believe, 2 or 3.
Yes, the only thing I have not done
Is hit points, right?
Is hit points. I've
All
not
right.
rolled my hit points, so I can do that.
Let us do that then.
All right.
Let us have you do that, and then we will talk about the impact of what happened.
So I just hit where is it? What is the die? I don't remember.
I don't know what your hit dice to 10 or 12, something like that.
I think it's 12. It's
Yeah.
12. Yeah. So just 1d12.
Yep.
Isn't it plus
Plus your con mod, plus
Okay,
your
that's what I
Constitution
thought.
modifier.
Roll 1d12 plus. Wow, it's only 1. That's fine.
Wow!
Oh,
see, that's the
it
sign
is.
that I'm talking
For
about.
me, I like as someone who wanted to create a meathead. This is perfect.
Nice. Check that
I
out.
wanted. That's what I'm
Maximum.
talking about. All right.
All right,
Doubled
26. Yep.
Doubled up. All
Yep.
right.
Nice, I dig it. Okay, so for those who are curious about the way this is going to work, that's awesome. So Cairo's character of Raxos is going to be leveled up to 2. After the events of today, depending on how things go, he may end up leveling up, depending on how things happen, to 3. And a lot of things kick in for him at level 3, as will be determined within this. Now, I would say that there are going to be spoilers ahead, but that's kind of ridiculous. Like, everyone will see the story that's happening. But if you've been following along with the main campaign up to this point, you will know that Ruud Vraxos vanished after entering the death house with the rest of the party. And the party has been... Say again?
I said shortly after.
Shortly thereafter, yeah.
You didn't.
It was, yeah, that's right. After entering the death house. Yeah, he never actually got down even into the dungeon or anything like that. And what had happened at the last, exactly, power up. What happened at the last moment was that the Ruud had gone with the rest of the party and was trying to protect Weller from a suit of animated armor, if I remember correctly. And then something grabbed him, basically some force, pulled him through this door in Death House, and removed him somewhat literally from the sequence, and he has been missing since then. Now, part of what we're about to describe has been happening basically in parallel with the rest of the party's exploration. So you'll have to kind of cast your mind back a little bit, everyone in chat, to what was going on with the rest of the party as they were going through Death House, as they were dealing with the kids, as they were dealing with the shambling mound that they somehow managed to kill and all this. All while that was going on, Ruud was going through his own experience, and we'll talk about how they connect back up at the end here. So when you were pulled, Ruud, out of this sort of sequence, this door opens, as I mentioned, and you are pulled back. But instead of being pulled back into a room, you are pulled back basically into complete darkness. It's as if not darkness like I can't see, I need a torch, but like utter blackness and silence. Charlie
Murphy, all right.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, there's blackness, Charlie Murphy. Oh man, I love that. We need more Chappelle in our lives. Yes. Anyway, so you were pulled back into this blackness, and there is complete silence, and then behind you, sort of almost at your ear, you hear a sort of deep, resonant voice that says, I see. It is interesting that you have made your arrival here. I have not seen one of the barbarians for some time. Now, you just hear this, like I said, right behind you, basically, at your ear.
I'm assuming I still have my great axe with me, so I'm going to kind of hold it in front of me and kind of... I just hear it, I don't see anything?
Don't see anything.
Okay.
In fact, you don't even feel anything. You feel
it's
like...
It's just darkness.
Right.
I feel like I'm in an abyss almost.
Right, yep.
Okay. So once I'll wield the great axe right in front of me, and then I'll kind of speak out and say, reveal yourself.
And there's a moment of silence, and then he says, it is an interesting term, reveal. Do you mean you wish to see my form? Or would you prefer to hear my plans for you?
I prefer you show me anything I can drive my axe into.
And there's...
I'll kind of clench, and I'll clench the hilt even harder, kind of take a more offensive stance with him.
Okay. Now the voice appears to the left side of you. So it started the right behind you. Mm-hmm. Now it's to the left of you, maybe 15 feet off to the left. And you hear... Such bravery. I have expected this from people of your kind. I have heard them. But this bravery means nothing without a visible target, and you have no such target, Ruud Vraxos.
How do you know me?
Now the voice comes from in front of you, maybe about 20 feet or so. And he says... I know all who come into this realm. I see all their places of coming and going, their entrances and exits.
You speak as if I came here willingly.
He pauses, there's silence, and then now it sounds as if it's coming from directly above your head, like, maybe 10 feet above your head. And you hear something say, you came because I wished it. All who come to Barovia come because I wish it. It is not a matter of will, but necessity.
I want to kind of just turn my head around and take a look. Is it basically just endless black everywhere I look?
Yes, so far. Although, now that you look... Actually, make a perception check for me now.
Okay. So, just to be sure, because I know the modifiers go up a little bit, as long as in Roll20 I hit that cog and change it to level 2, it should automatically do everything in terms of the...
Yes.
Okay.
That should be correct. Yes.
I don't know if I had to actually manually go in there and
I
add
don't think so with the sheets,
Okay.
although quite frankly, I'm not 100% sure.
That's fine.
But it wouldn't.
We'll,
But it
we'll
wouldn't
go with
affect your.
what's on there. We'll
Yeah, and
go
it
with
wouldn't affect your ability checks anyway
Yeah, that's
on one level up.
sure. Okay. Not 100%.
So really, pretty much not. It just looks like a lot of blackness. I mean, the one thing you can say for sure is that based on just general physics, that for something that is in front of you and then immediately is in front of you 20 feet and then above you 10 feet, like whatever is doing this without any sound of movement between the voices appearing means either that there's multiple whatever this thing is, or it's moving incredibly fast and completely silently.
I've seen the Wizard movie. I know it's a different but
Every fast zombie ever, right?
yeah, exactly. Okay, so after he says that, then what I'll do is I'm actually going to sheathe my axe and just sit down, kneel down on my knees and just kind of sit there and um, kind of look forward since I can't see anything, and I'll say, if you wish to speak with me, if all you wish to do is talk, then I shall wait till you tire yourself of your own words. When you have a use for why you brought me here, you let me know. And I'll just kind of put my hands on my knees and just sit there.
Okay. So there is a moment of silence, and then as you were sort of looking out into this void, you suddenly see appearing before you what looks like an image. At first, it is a very small kind of image, tiny, almost barely perceptible. And as it grows a little bit larger, it seems like it is almost in miniature, like perfectly miniature, almost a painting. And as it gets larger and larger, you can see that what you are looking at is actually your homeland. In fact, the home of your tribe. And as it gets larger and larger, it's as if it's rushing towards you or you rushing towards it as it gets kind of bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Then, and again, moving towards you completely silently. Suddenly it is in front of you and then all around you, and you are on your knees in your own village, sort of staring forward. And in front of you is a figure sort of sternly looking away, arms folded, and from the back, it actually looks like it might be a family member, a member of your tribe, facing away from you.
And I'm still in the same position I'm in?
Yes,
Like,
you haven't moved at all, and you didn't feel any rushing wind or anything like that. This just was like vroom type of thing.
Get out of my head.
And there's a moment's silence, and then you hear the voice, but this time it's clearly coming from the person in front of you, from the Goliath in front of you. And it says, "It has never been about heads. It has always been about will, the will to act when it is needed."
Do I recognize this Goliath?
You do. The voice sounds to you like the voice, perhaps, of your father. And you sort of look at that. I mean, well, actually, I'll give you a moment to react if you want.
I'm kind of grind my teeth. It's going to be hard for me to kind of not show my anger a bit.
Yep.
So Fraxos is going to grind his teeth and kind of look at him and say, "I do not appreciate you taking this form."
And there is a moment, and then he says, "I don't know what form you mean. Do you mean the form of a father disappointed in the weakness of his son? An inability to stand up to those who he should be fighting? An understanding of his position in the hierarchy? His understanding of where he stands in the village? Always you have looked elsewhere. Always you have looked to be in a different place. And yet here we stand, while you wander away, flit aimlessly like a bee from flower to flower. Yet you ask me about my form." Now, so far, this is all, like, you haven't, like, and as you look around you, it feels like you're in the village. I mean, like, there's no darkness anymore. Like, everything around you feels like three-dimensional. You could even feel the cold upon your skin, and so forth.
Where, like, kind of, are we in the middle, literally, like, kind of where I would be in my home, I guess, or are we in
Yes,
the
but it's in it's in
forest?
the outside.
Hmm.
My under and basically
Like,
outside in the sort of not the village square, but like outside of where the tents and things like that where you would be
sure.
kept. So nobody else, however, is here. You don't see anyone else other than just the back of your father.
Now, I guess the way in which we got to Barovia, it would be, it would. I'm trying to figure out if Vraxos is actually going to believe that he's possibly been moved there,
Right.
or if he's able to see through it, and
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because based on the way that we've gotten there, I could see how it would happen. Hmm. Thinking I might roll for it.
Okay. Yeah. If you want to make well, let's see. You could. There's
Because
a
my
couple.
intelligence is really bad. That's the reason why I'm kind of leaning towards being. I mean, it's bad. So
You could
it's
make it. Well, one thing you could do is you could make an insight check to see if the words resonate with you. I mean, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's him saying it, right?
that's yeah.
But
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll go with that. That seems like a good middle ground.
oh, I was floating on that 17 for a minute.
Yeah, it was.
It's. I mean, it definitely is your father's voice, but your suspicions, given what you've encountered so far in Ravenloft
Mhm.
and Barovia, and also sort of the legends of this place even before you came here, seem to fit what it is that you see.
Yeah.
Rather seem to suggest skepticism about what you see. But there's nothing in particular that strikes you as unusual about what your father has said. Now, so far, you're just focusing on your father's words.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want to look elsewhere, but like that's from what you can tell, there's nothing bizarre so far about what he said.
Is he the only person I see?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna remain sitting, and then I'll say, it, "It matters not to me who it is that wields the words that you say. In the end, what you may think you know of me and the actions I've taken is irrelevant."
And there's a pause, and then you hear your father's voice say, "So, it matters not what I say, what any of the village elders say, what any of the greatest warriors say, so long as Ruud Vraxos has his will. Is that your claim, your defiance, your need for individual expression?"
If you claim to know so much about me, then you would already know why it is I'm here and not question it.
And there is a moment where there's a pause, and then he says, "If you understood your duty to your father and your family, you would never have gone to that place to begin with." And he turns, and you see that he is holding a double-bladed axe similar to yours. And he strides towards you and says, "But it has never been about the tribe for you, Vraxos. No, it has never been about us, but only about you, the individual you, the you that matters, you, the only one that matters." And he raises the axe above his head as he comes right up towards you. So you have a minute to decide what you're gonna. Was not a minute, a second to decide what you're gonna do. If you're gonna, do you want to block him? Do nothing? What do you want to do?
I will unsheath my axe and just put it on the ground next to me. And I mean, is he swinging it at me, or is he?
It looks like he's going to.
I will unsheath my axe. I'm getting meaty.
Okay. So as are you going to? Here's the question: as the strike comes down, are you going to block it, or are you going to, with your axe unsheathed, kind of like hold on to it and just wait?
I am going to put my axe on the ground so that I can use it to lift myself up, and I am going to Leonidas kick him right in the chest.
Okay, go ahead and make. Let's have you make an. I guess I'll have you make an athletics check for this. Let's see
All
if you can
right.
do that. Hug him, smother him with love.
That's not the Goliath way.
18
Okay.
is that? I think I see.
Yes.
Okay, so you kind of reach out and kick him, and there is this as your foot impacts his chest, his axe goes flying backwards. You see his face, this horrible expression of sadness and pain, and as he goes flying backwards, you see his body literally dissolve into bones and then dust. So you just kick it, and then he
Yeah.
just hits the ground, and there is just silence for a moment. And then you hear behind you again, interesting. Your loyalty to your family is not as great as I might have expected.
My family was never here. Show your true form.
And there's a moment, and then you see emerging from one of the tents, coming out of one of the tents, you see a figure in a dark flowing cloak with black boots. He has a red ruby of some kind that holds the cloak together. He looks handsome and young, but his skin is pale. And he emerges from this tent and strides forward a couple of steps. And then he inclines his head to you and he says, "There, my dear barbarian. You have now seen my true form. I hope you like the look of it. I am Strahd von Zarevich. You are in my realm, and I am curious about you."
Do I know who that is?
So, well, you know what? Let's have you make a history check and see if you know anything about it at all.
Because I mean, I wasn't at that meeting in the initial session, right? Where there was a little bit of a
Right.
explanation
Yep.
of kind of where we were going.
Right, that's right.
So
But
that's
you...
why I'm kind of curious of whether I know I myself know who that is.
Yeah, no, I know. Bet as your character. No, it's a good call. Possibly. So let's see if you do.
Let's see if this -1 intelligence pays off.
All right, what do we got?
12.
A 12 history. So what we've got here is you have heard a name, Strahd von Zarevich, somewhere. And you've heard, of course, of Barovia and Ravenloft somewhere. These are all legends. Your people made reference to Barovia as the land of shadows and ravens. And you remember when, as a child, hearing stories about the land of shadows and ravens. It is one of those things, though, that is kind of murky in your mind, and it's sort of tied together the way that frightening stories told to you by parents when you're little can be. So it's not 100% sure how much of it your parents told you, and how much of it you learned from the tribe, and how much of it you just kind of made up since, like that you kind of have in your mind sort of built up to something else, but you think you've heard the name. You know nothing whatsoever about what that means, though. I mean, other than the fact that you've heard the name before.
Okay. And you said the full name is Strahd von what again?
Strahd von Zarevich. Also, it's !IAB crew, 10 of clubs. And hi, Rollasong. Yes, this is a very special episode, which we're calling Ruud's Return, as Vraxos makes his return to infinity and beyond. So, but it's !IAB crew, 10. Yes. So, okay. Yeah, so that's what you would know. And he's standing just looking at you.
Well, Strahd von Zarevich, you know I am Ruud van Nistelrooy. No, you know I am...
I'm ravishing Rick Ruud.
I wish. You already know I am Ruud Vraxos. Now, do you care to tell me what you wish I know of you?
And he says, direct and to the point. I appreciate that. Most of Barovia is not this way. And he sort of turns away from you for a moment. His cloak sweeps around him and walks away. You can see that from this distance, maybe only 15 feet from you, you could probably close that distance and cleave his back within 2 seconds if you wanted. And he seems completely unconcerned by this possibility. He faces away from you and he says, anyone who comes into my realm is of interest to me. And you have connected with a new group of nomads, seekers of knowledge, and perhaps those who desire to end my existence. I am therefore intrigued. It is my job, you see, to determine whether you are any kind of threat to my people. I must always think about my people.
And what of this group of nomads you speak of? Are you also speaking... Did you also take them to a place like this?
And he says, what happened to them is of no concern to you. What happens now between you and me is of your only concern.
Well...
And go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I mean,
that's fine if you just said well. He says he looks, he waits, and then he looks over his shoulder and he says, "You have already made it clear that your family is of no concern to you. I wonder then if there is anything about which you are concerned. Would you help those in need? Would you help the innocent and weak? Or would you prefer to serve the strong, to destroy those who concern you, who get in your way, as you have just done your father?"
If my father was truly before me, perhaps the interaction you would have seen may have been different. Perhaps it would have been the same. But I've seen my fair share of bards put on their light shows and show me their tricks. And I know that the power that you have, it's clear to me that you can make me see what you think I'd like to see, or perhaps what I need to see. But in the end, I'm more concerned with the man pulling the strings than the show that he puts on.
And he chuckles. I am no bard, Ruud Vraxos, and I am not a puppeteer. When I pull the strings, they usually break. And he turns to the left, sort of turns away from you again, and he says, "This is a beautiful land, your home. It reminds me of the way Barovia once was. And yet no amount of beauty can prepare you for what you will find here. And still my query goes unanswered. Humor me, if you will. Would you care about the family, any family, if they were in need? If I threatened them, would you save the innocent, no matter the cost?"
I have found in my travels that rarely are the odds fair for those that are innocent. And that is something that I cannot live with.
He nods and he says, "Brave words, and I have heard words like them for centuries." And he turns back to you and now looks at you directly with steady, dark eyes, and he says, "Very well then. We shall see, you and I, what you will do. I shall watch how you react. Together we will learn how far you will go to preserve a family's trust."
And I'll stand up and hold my. Well, I'm already standing, but I'll grab my axe again.
Stand on tiptoes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna stand up even taller. I'm like 12 feet tall. But I'll say him, well, you said yourself your strings don't break so easily, so maybe you'll make them put up a little bit more of a fight than the last show you put on.
And he waits, his arms by his side, and he gives you a slow smile and says, "Yes. Excellent. I am looking forward to what happens next." And he closes his eyes and waits.
And my inner monologue is very excited that I crit that hit point roll. Internally, I'm very excited about it.
Yes. Okay.
Externally, I'm stone-faced.
Okay. And he just sits there waiting, or stands there waiting.
Oh,
I was just wondering what you were doing.
I'm gonna wait. I figured he was gonna do something, so.
He has his arms at his sides, paying apparently no attention to you at all. Although that same small little smile is on his face.
So is that it then? That's the only song you wish to sing me?
He doesn't say anything.
Is this a test? You want to see me fight? Or do you wish to fight me yourself?
Silence.
I'm still in the village, right?
Yep.
Very well then. And I'm going to sheathe my axe, and I want to make my way to my where my home would be.
Okay. So you do so. You walk past him. And actually, to do that, you will have to walk past him. Do you want to do that?
Sure. Yeah.
You walk past him, and you have lived in the mountains and lived in, incredibly cold, austere conditions for most of your life. You have never felt the cold that radiates from Strahd, from anything, natural sources, living creatures, dead creatures.
Yeah.
As you walk by, it's just as if you have been consumed by ice. And you walk past, and he makes no reaction at all. And you are walking towards your home. And then suddenly, you find you are not in your village, but you are on a cold, overcast, and drizzly day on a dirt road. Around you are fields of wheat that are stretching as far as the eye can see. And you see the clothes of an ill-made scarecrow that flap in the cold breeze. Suddenly you become aware of a moan coming from the scarecrow. And looking more closely, you realize that it is a young man tied to a stake. What do you do?
Oof. How far away is that from me?
Maybe 50 feet.
Is that just like a big field of wheat kind
Yes.
of in the horizon?
And behind you,
That's
you see
only
the
thing I see.
exactly. Well, so the dirt road behind you extends into the horizon. There's no sign of
Sure,
your village,
sure.
and in front of you, the dirt road extends into the horizon also.
I'm thinking that scene from Gladiator. That's
Yeah. Exactly. Oh God, that scene is so good.
Yeah. All right. I'll do that just for cinematic views. Just kind of run my fingers through the wheat as I walk through.
Nice. Yeah. Exactly. Do we have like the?
Great soundtrack,
Yeah.
Definitely, that's what's going through my mind. All right, I'm going to investigate this crucified guy.
Okay.
Assuming it is.
So it looks. So as you get close, and he's not that far off the road actually. As you get close, you can see that he's a very young man, maybe 15, 16. And is clearly suffering from exposure. You can see there's lots of his skin seems icy cold. You can see all of these like scratch marks and marks where he's been sort of like beaten up. It looks like bruised, and he is just hanging there. He is alive, but he is extremely. He's completely like he's not responsive at the moment, but he's breathing. And he might be able to be you could maybe untie him if you want. He's not like nailed to anything, but he's definitely tied up there. That's great, IK. You will see your family again, but not yet.
Yeah.
Suddenly you see Joaquin Phoenix like walking down the road.
Give me one of these. Like I'll
Yeah.
look at him. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
As I get closer to him, what do I smell?
You smell, first of all, the smell of damp grass around you, and I mean wheat, obviously, but there's like a damp wheat. Beneath your feet, your boots kind of squish into just a little bit of mud. It's obviously been raining here for a while. And from him, you smell some combination of sweat and blood. Smells that you're familiar with, frankly, in your time. But again, it's muted by presumably the rain that's around you. It is drear. To jump out of character, November rain. Know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Anyone who lives anywhere in the areas where Cairo or I do know what the cold rain in November is like. So,
sounds good. That's made me very uncomfortable. Does he notice me approaching?
No, he seems at the moment insensible to reaction. Like he's just like his head is down. He's just like hanging up. And again, looked like a scarecrow until not so much. And his arms are held on the two side posts. So there's like a post up, and then there is literally like a little bit of a crossbar behind him, and his arms are just up there, and he's just hanging, eyes just shut. And maybe once in a while kind of stirring his head, but that's it.
Okay. As I get a little closer, I want to take the end of my axe, the hilt, the wooden part, and I will not poke him, but just see if he's actually there or if it's just an illusion.
He definitely is. You actually touch him, you can feel the sort of yielding of the flesh slightly to his underside, so he's definitely there, yeah.
Does he react when I make contact with him?
Slightly. He only...
Just like a little bit of a groan?
Yeah. This kid looks messed up.
Yeah. Is this another one of your illusions? Or are you here playing this game as well?
Nothing. Just him groaning occasionally. And you don't see any houses or anything like that either. But you hear nothing from...
How big is this guy?
Else. He's probably about... He's not very big. 5'7", 5'8", maybe.
God.
And
a third of my size.
Yeah, exactly. In other words, he's like normal human size. But yeah,
he's tied up to the actual stick.
Correct. He's got his arms tied and his legs are tied to them. And actually, now that you're looking at the rope specifically, make a perception check for me, please, Ruud.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Investigation, not perception.
Okay.
Sorry, my bad.
No
Investigation.
Worries. Sure. We just go from 2 to a -1, but I'll take it.
There we go. So we got what? The only reason I'm asking for the numbers is for the audio folks. So what do we got?
Sure. Oh, I'm sorry. 18.
18. Okay. So, yeah, now that you're looking at them, these ropes look like they were done somewhat hurriedly and not particularly well. He's obviously way too exhausted to be able to remove them himself, but this is not like some professional, job that was done here to tie him up here at all.
Okay. I want to grab the stick.
Okay.
And pull it out of the ground and kind of put him on my shoulder and just keep walking.
Okay. All right. So you do that. You like,
because I figure he's small enough. That's like taking a toothpick out of a cocktail.
That might be the case. Although the steak is a little bit bigger, but yes.
Probably. Yeah.
So as you sort of put him back on his back, you hear he goes, water.
Do I see any water around me?
No, but you have your equipment with you and your possessions, so you actually have like a water skin, I believe.
I want to, just before I do anything, I want to take a few steps, at least, 10, 20 meters or so.
Okay.
And just see if the scene changes again or
No,
what happens.
it does not.
So I could just I walk until my heart's content essentially, and nothing changes.
Yes. Apparently
Essentially,
so.
okay.
Yep. I mean, like the hills go up and down a little bit, the road
Sure.
curves back and forth, but
Sure.
that said, it's otherwise relatively featureless.
And then, and as I'm walking, he's probably just continuing to say that.
Yes.
I'll take a little bit out.
Okay.
I'll stop, put him in the ground again,
Okay.
and give him a little bit.
So he sort of takes the water. And his eyes just kind of flicker open slightly. And like his eyes for a moment are unfocused, like they're not really looking at you. They look like just dark brown eyes. And then they kind of... where am I? Where am I? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you?
I'm the guy that gave you water.
And he nods, sort of weakly, and says, "Thank you, thank you. I've." And he kind of looks and he sees that he's still tied up, and he sort of says, "Arms."
Can you walk?
He says, "Maybe if I could get my circulation back. My legs are kind of asleep."
I'll undo the ropes.
Okay, so he kind of slumps to the ground, like
Yeah.
and kind of, with a groan, and kind of like rubs his legs and his arms. And again, you can see now, like just around his neck and everything, he just like looks like he's had the hell beat out of him. And he sort of slowly, after couple of minutes, basically slowly kind of stands up and kind of gets to his feet, and just kind of slightly hunched over and says, Thank you.
I'll take the stick and I want to break it so then it's long enough for him to use. If it's too long otherwise, break it so it's a good sized walking stick for him to aid him kind of as he's walking.
I think I'm gonna have you do a little bit of a check on this insofar as,
Sure.
I mean, it is a little bit of a big stake. I mean, I understand that he's a Goliath, but this is still...
Yeah, well, if I can try and break it.
Yeah, go ahead and make an athletics check for me.
Sure.
You're like, it doesn't... It's pretty... I mean, it's a fairly sturdy, piece of wood, honestly. You could maybe chop it if you took a little bit of time.
Maybe I'll take my axe then.
Okay.
I'm still coming up with a name for my axe. It's coming at some point.
Okay.
It has to match the Vraxos.
Vraxos Axos.
Yeah.
I asked you a question.
Yeah,
I asked you a question. All right. So you asked the thing a question. You sort of chop the sound of the thunk, the thuck, as it hits the wood, kind of echoes through the land and around the land, and he just watches you silently as you chop it up, and finally you cut through it. So there's now two pieces, and it looks to you like the crossbar is probably the one that's going to be the thinnest and easiest maybe for him to use. Like if you were to cut the ropes free that secure the crossbar to the main stake, that might work the best for him, if that's what you want to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you're able to do that
Engage it as much as I can.
Okay. Yeah, so you're able to do that pretty quickly, and you hand it to him, and he nods at you, and he says, "Thank you. Thank you." And he, has and you can see that he's starting to feel clearly better, now that he's up and about and has had a little bit of water. And he leans onto the stick, he stands up a little bit straighter, and I was there for a while. I was thinking no one was going to come.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let him get his stuff together.
And he does, and he kind of like shakes off, and then he says, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to you, but I don't know what exactly to do, but I could, well, he kind of trails off. He's like, I He shakes his head and he says, I don't even know how to explain what happened to me. This has been awful. It's the worst day of my life. Night of my life.
And I'll kind of look around and see that nothing's changing. And then I'm going to start walking and say, well, let us start walking. The last time I walked in a direction, I ended up here. Perhaps we'll get lucky and be taken to a brothel. And I'll kind of laugh a little bit and just keep walking.
Okay, and
Hope that he follows me.
He does. He starts following you. You're going, I assume, slow enough that he can.
Yeah. I'm not just like walking.
He's like, get the a speed walk.
I'm walking slow enough, so I'm like, and kind of as I take my first few steps, I'll say, I think we have plenty of time for you to tell your tale.
He nods and he says, it's hard though. It's doesn't even feel real to me when I say it. He says, my name is Elias. I'm a farmer. And my parents attacked me last night. And he kind of falls silent as he's walking along, just shaking his head.
There's no town near me or anything like that?
Not
right?
that you know. No, this doesn't have any particular features. I have you, I show you on the map, but that's not, you're not at the moment there.
Yeah.
His first name is not Uncle. It is not Uncle Elias, no.
And they brought you here?
He nods. He says, yes. I was just visiting friends. My friends, and then it was Alina and Edwin at a nearby farm. We grew up together. I came back and I came through the door, and my father's expression was just filled with rage, and then he hit me. And then my mother whipped me with a belt. They beat me, and I just kept telling them to stop, asking what was wrong, and they wouldn't answer. They just kept beating me over and over, and then they brought me to this place and tied me to the stake here. I've been here ever since. And he says, suddenly he says, looking up at you, do you believe in evil spirits?
I believe in bad parenting.
He nods and he says, but that's not how my parents were. Never. They're kind, gentle people. They've never done anything like this. If I was out too long, perhaps instead of doing my work, my father might be cross with me. But to raise his hand? And my mother? This is not what they do. Ever.
How old does this guy look?
He looks like he's maybe 16.
Okay. Hard to tell what his fitness level is after being sitting on a stake for a while.
Right. I mean, he's in better condition than you would have expected, actually, given
Yeah.
that. But still.
Where is it that you called home before you were brought here?
And he points over this rise of the field, like in front of you, and he says, it's actually over there. You just keep following over the hill. You'll see my parents' house. And then he stops for a minute and he clutches onto the stick that he's holding and he looks up at you and he says, but they might hurt me again, but my friends, what if they attack my friends? What if Alina and Edwin are there? What if they've been tied to stakes too? But that's where they are. Right over the hill is my home. My home.
What is the name of your home?
It's just a farm. My parents' names are Abner and Melina. But we are just farmers. Simple ones.
And what is the land we walk on?
And he looks and he says, "This? It is a land of Barovia? Well, not our portion of it. It is in the southeastern side. We have lived here for much of our lives. All of my life. My parents moved here from the village of Barovia when they were young, they tell me. And then my mother had me. I am their only child. I've farmed with them since I was little. I hoped someday I would make enough that perhaps I could make my own farm. And perhaps," and he kind of blinks and he says, "Well, Alina is, well," and he kind of, you can see him sort of turning a little, like blushing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he falls silent.
You fancy her?
He says, I mean, I don't know. We're just, he kind of just trails off.
Right. Well, these evil spirits you told me of, did they have a name?
He says, "Well, that's what I'm worried about. Maybe they possessed my parents. It would explain why they acted the way they did. They didn't even look like my parents, at least not the way their expressions were. They were so silent and strange. Maybe someone," and he kind of looks around him fearfully. Maybe Strahd, von Zarevich, the Baron himself. He could be here. He could have sent someone to take my parents. Maybe. Do you think he turned them into one of him? Did he give them his curse?"
Did he tell me his name? I don't remember.
Yeah, his name is Elias.
Elias, that's right, Uncle Elias.
Yeah, Uncle Elias.
I remember that. Calm yourself, Elias. I can assure you that Strahd is here.
He says, "Here? Why would I be calm if he is here?"
Why are you calm? Because I am here.
He
Only
says,
because I gave you water?
and he nods mutely.
Is that all it takes?
"It is all I get, sometimes."
Well, maybe you should try and give this girl you fancy water and see if that works for you.
And he sort of, almost in spite of himself, smiles and then immediately realizes kind of the implications. He's like, And he says, she's, and then you kind of see he gets this sort of set, like this determined set to his face, and he's kind of like, she's a good, sweet person, and kind and caring, and then he sort of, you see his eyes widen. He's like, and she could be hurt, or we. And he kind of like reaches up almost as if to grab your shoulder, and then he's like, then he kind of pulls back because he's like, you're very big, and he's like, he's like, please help me find her, or do something, or them. I don't know what to do. My parents would know, but and he kind of shakes his head. Then he finally just looks up in a mute expression of appeal and says, "Please, just can you come with me and help me? Maybe the madness has passed from them, but I don't know what they'll do to me this time. They almost killed me once. They might do it for real this time."
And Vraxos is gonna just look around and notice there's really nothing else going on. And then look back at him and say, "Well, Eli, I don't really got much else going on around here. So, as you can tell, you lead, and we'll see what happens."
And he nods and he says, Thank you so much. Thank you. It's just over the hill." And you can see he kind of looks like just excited, like, finally, as he moves forward in the kind of gray, overcast day of the morning, and moves kind of, still not fast, but is able to move a little bit more quickly. And he crosses over a hill or two, And then as he crosses over the second hill, you can see that there is a short, what looks like almost another dirt track that leads from it's not exactly just starts like, it isn't like it starts with this big sign, but it kind of gradually you can see a form of a track appearing as you look down the hill, and then it becomes essentially a dirt road. And there's a small farmhouse which is standing at the end of the track. Unlike many of the farmhouses that you have seen, no smoke emanates from the chimney. The main door stands ajar. And he sort of stops and he says, That is my friend's house. That's where Alina and Edwin live. But why is the door open? And he looks up at you.
Could you remind me? I'm sorry. I know Alina is the girl. Who's Edwin again?
Edwin was his other friend. So just had Alina and Edwin were his two friends. And you don't know whether Edwin might be maybe the brother. You don't entirely know what that's all about, but...
well, I'm assuming that's Harry Osborn, and he's taking Mary Jane. That's what I'm assuming. Can I take like 45 seconds and just get a drink real quick?
Yes, absolutely. You can do that.
I'll be right back.
That's fine. While you're getting a drink, I will say to everyone who's here, welcome everybody. You are watching Day 8 of D&D with Infinity and Beyond, Curse of Strahd, Ruud's Return. This is a one-on-one session, a special one-on-one session with myself and Don Cairo as we reintroduce Ruud of Raxos back into the party. I hope you are enjoying what you see so far. If you like what you have seen so far, please make sure to follow the channel. Please make sure to check out the various ways to support the channel. YouTube, the Discord, which is !arvcord. YouTube is !arvtube. Please support the Patreon, which is !arvtreon. And don't forget about subbing as well. If you check above the video window, you'll be able to see that. And please tweet out the stream if you haven't done so already. It would be lovely to have as many people as we can here. It's unusual to have a session like this during a Tuesday, but I believe the last time, actually, when we did this with Trendane and Sod, it was also, I think, during a Tuesday day session. So, but we will be with you here until about 3 o'clock. Also, I should mention, by the way, that we do have a next game going on, which is what I'm going to be playing next week in this same time slot. And that is this poll. Right now, what game should I play for this month? Right now, Firewatch has a very slight lead over Spider-Man PS4 and a somewhat larger lead over Darkest Dungeon, but any of those three are still possible, so please get in your votes in terms of which one you would like me to play next week, and I will happily play any of these. Firewatch and Spider-Man are currently tied up. So, okay, welcome back. Alrighty, so you are at the top of this hill looking down, pointing at what he says is his friend's house.
Did he stop? He's not walking?
Yeah, he stopped. He's kind of like staring, and he kind of looks back at you a couple times. You can see his hands kind of trembling as he kind of looks down at the empty house. Well, I mean, you don't know if it's empty, but like the door's open anyway, and no smoke coming from it.
I'll kind of let my shoulders sit down a little bit and kind of look at him and say, Eli, do you wish to stand here and let your thoughts run wild with what could be going on inside those doors? Or do you wish to go there and see for yourself?
He says, I don't wish to do either, but and he sort of looks back up at you and he says, I must see what happened to them. I hope. And then he kind of shakes his head and he's like, I am afraid of what I will find, though.
I can tell you from experience, if you do not go see it with your own eyes, your mind will conjure up something much worse.
And he sort of thinks about that for a while, kind of thinks about the implications of that, and then says, you're right. You're right. I'm just afraid. And he says, all right, let's go down then together. And he kind of gives you a sort of a weak smile and begins to make his way down the hill to the dirt track. When you get down to the track itself, so the actual road and the farmhouse is at the end of it, you can see that the main door stands ajar, as I mentioned. and that the inside appears to be dark. At least the only thing is just the light from the outside that's kind of streaming into it. And I would like, let's see. Yeah. Make a perception check for me, actually, please, Vraxos.
A 10.
A 10. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, the whole place, this whole thing, like a farmhouse with an open door and everything else is all creepy, but there's nothing in particular that makes you go like, watch out, ambush or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not going to have my guard completely down, but I'm kind of just letting him take the lead for the most part and staying close by.
Okay, so he walks up to the door with you in tow, and then pushes the door sort of tentatively open and kind of creaks. And the light you can see streams in. And the first thing you notice, Vraxos, is that the table itself has, there's a table inside which has like a vase with flowers. And you can see that there seem to be like herbs hung from the roof, as would be the case with many like farmhouses. But you also notice a smell. There is coming from inside here a rather foul odor. And you can see that even Elias notices it, and he kind of recoils and looks up at you as if like
bedpan smell or like decaying flesh smell.
The latter. Not like, I mean, yes, like yes, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna, like I said, I want him to kind of take the lead.
Well,
I mean, so that's all I see is I don't see anything. It's just kind of like the inside of a house.
Well, and the thing is that there's the house to the left and to the right that you can't see from here. So you're just like looking in on what looks like this nicely. No, you're right at the door. That's the thing. He just pushed the door open and then heard that, and then like you got this smell that hit you. But you see from the outside, your vantage point, just this like table with the flowers and the herbs and from the ceiling, but nothing else to the right or the left because you got to get in to see it.
Sure. All right, I'll look down at him then and say, if you wish to go back to the wheat fields, then we turn around. Otherwise, there's no place left for your feet to go.
And he kind of says, will you go in with me then?
There's not much of interest out here for me.
All right, so he takes a couple of steps in, and I assume you follow him.
Sure.
All right, and then you see he kind of looks to his right and shrieks and stumbles back against you, like just
Yeah.
And when you look over, you can see why. The inside of the house, the part that you saw already, looks, as I said, pristine. But as you look to the right, you can see the kitchen. The floor of the kitchen is covered in blood, and on the floor are two decapitated bodies lying there, both in pools of blood. One has got what looks like a dress, one some kind of overalls.
Both look young or old?
Well, I mean, the bodies do not look aged, but I mean, part of that is, you know.
Yeah, they're decapitated bodies.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they have no expression.
I mean, they're human, right? Like
yes, for sure.
That's what I mean.
Yes, for sure. And just he kind of like almost forgetting where he is. He kind of like almost like, who is that's them? No. And he just sinks to the ground on his knees and weeps.
Are those your friends or your parents?
And he shakes his head, but looking at them, you get the impression that they're probably, I mean, it could be that he just way outgrew his parents, but they looks to you like they're more likely close to his age. I mean, again, it's hard to tell without seeing the face for sure, but yeah. And by the way, one thing that you note, now to check more, you'd have to go up to them, but even from this distance, you can see that although they are decapitated, the bodies otherwise do not look like there's not a bunch of, I mean, you'd have to check closer, but there's not a lot of scratches that you see,
Yeah, I was
or
gonna say, was there a struggle? Did it
doesn't
look
look
like?
like it, no.
It's not a great way to go.
And he's just like, rocking back and forth,
Yeah.
almost keening.
So as he's in shock, clearly kind of doing that, I'll give him a moment, and as kind of I leave him be for a sec, I'd like to further kind of investigate the kitchen,
Okay.
see if I can tell if murder weapon, if it's like there's
Right,
a
right, right.
bloody knife or something like that. It's trail of blood,
Right.
along those lines.
So one thing that you can tell without having to do any check at all. So on the right side is the kitchen, and on the left side you can see there's just like basically a large single room, and on the left side are the beds, and you can see that there are two beds and the sheets are rumpled, and as you kind of look, you can see that there appears to be a trail, as if, but not of blood. It looks as if that, if you had to guess, there was, in fact, and this is the sort of weird thing, there's not as much blood as there should be. I mean, if you've killed many people in your time, and if, a full body is, I hate to be too graphic about it, pumping out its blood on the ground, that's a lot of blood. And there's not that much, actually, comparatively. And so as you sort of look, you can see that coming from the beds, there's this sort of trail of dust mostly that leads over to the kitchen. And then the kitchen is where the blood is. So if you had to guess, this is like they were dragged out, to the kitchen, and then this happened to them. So that's the thing about that. Now, there were two things. One, you wanted to know about a trail, and then the other one is about the body. So are you doing are you checking bodies or trail, or what do you want to look at, or do you want to look at both?
First, I want to look at the wounds.
Okay.
Just clean cut,
Right.
sawed off, that type of thing.
It is a fairly clean cut, although it looks like it took a couple of times to do it, and it looks like it was done. If you had to guess, because you're familiar with these cuts, with an axe. You think that these two were decapitated with an axe, looking, not necessarily your axe, but it looks like some kind of an axe. And it looks like there was some real strength behind the blow, but of course, as opposed to what people sometimes hear about in stories where it's and then he lopped off his head. It's really hard to cut off someone's head with a single cut. Okay. So it usually takes a couple of, by the way, this is based upon forensic knowledge, not personal knowledge. I just realized how that sounded. Let me tell you how hard it is.
All right. Easy there, buddy.
But yeah, so it's one of those things where they clearly had to chop a couple times to get the head off. And neither head is obviously there. But the thing that's weird about these bodies, and actually make an investigation check for me, and we'll see how much of it you're able to determine.
Oh my god.
You're like,
that is a 2.
Yep. So you're
not the sharpest Goliath barbarian detective.
You're like, these people are dead because they've lost their head. You're like, I know what happened when their heads were gone. That was the moment that their lives came to an end.
The Austin Powers run up.
Yeah. You're like,
not one's way to lose one's head.
That was good. Exactly.
Not a way to lose one's head.
He just keeps making jokes. They're like, yes, stop. Please stop.
Okay, we get it.
But no, so what, so the thing that, the only thing that, as I mentioned, you're able to sort of determine for sure is that this is definitely, there really is not enough blood here. It just doesn't make sense. There's not enough blood for this to have worked.
Yeah. Okay. So then I will, kind of, first I want to look over at Elias, see how he's doing.
His sobs have quieted, but he's still kind of he hasn't looked up though. So.
And what was in the other house? Did he tell me that? Was that his parents' house? His
parents' house, right.
Okay.
And you do see from the bodies here, this you don't need to make a check to determine, that there is a, what looks like a set of footprints, small, not that visible, but somewhat visible, bloody footprints that seem to be leading out of the door. You didn't really notice this much when you came in because it's kind of faint, and largely because there isn't all that much blood. But there are definitely bloody footprints.
Okay. I'm gonna walk over to Elias.
Okay.
Say, make your peace with them, and then let us go see what awaits in the next house.
All right. And I'm going to just stop the music for a second because we're getting out of sync. Hold on.
Sure.
Give me a second. Okay, good. That's better. Okay. So, all right. So he kind of looks up at you and he kind of shakes his head and he's like, I don't know what the point of any of... Why even go on now? Why even bother?
If you wish to die in that wheat field, that's always an option for you. But maybe what awaits you in the next house is not despair, but purpose.
And he kind of nods and sort of quietly and without saying anything, just kind of like, just kind of stands up and is like, and just sort of like kind of nods as if, okay, I'll go wherever. So if you follow the trail just out, you can see the trail goes off and basically there's a little bit of blood you can see, and then through the wheat you can see still a matted down area of wheat, which is looks like basically kind of a trail that clearly was made by one or two people walking through this field. And as you go down this just a couple of, a few feet, Elias sort of falters and then sort of stops and says, This is the way to my parents' house.
Did he stop, or is he?
He stopped because he's just sort of like staring wide-eyed at the trail in front of him.
Does it end here, or does it continue?
He says, that way, if we follow this, it'll lead to my parents' house.
That's what roads tend to do.
He says, but what we'll find there? What will we find there, though?
Something other than wheat, I presume.
And he kind of drags himself forward silently and proceeds down the trail. Okay, so as you walk through this trail, you go up over, again, a hill or two. You notice that the light is getting a little bit fainter, or I should say, because we were close, early morning, so it's probably now the other side of noon, if you had to guess, although you can't see the sun, so it's probably maybe early afternoon now, as you kind of make your way down the hill and down the trail. And you proceed down the trail until you see a large, sprawling farmhouse on a slight rise, which really dominates the landscape. The farm shows signs of once being better kept, but now the hedge fences are wild and untended, and the doors are unpainted, and tools lie in the open. However, smoke rises from the chimney, and a small herd of cattle graze in a nearby field.
He still hasn't moved?
No, he's with you. He's moved up to there, and he sort of comes to a stop now, though, and he says, "That is my parents' home. This is our farm."
Well, let us hope we don't find bloody axes in there.
And he kind of shudders and begins to, almost as if dragged down, kind of make his way down the rise. And you can tell that as you get closer, this is a pretty good-sized farm, as opposed to the one you just left. This one is like a pretty good size, but it definitely looks run down. as if it's seen better days, basically. And you can see that there are some fields on the outskirts of it that lie fallow, and just, you're not totally expert in farms, but you know that they generally are, going to look a lot more well tended than this.
Sure.
And as you get closer to the farmhouse, you can see that the door is closed to the farmhouse. And again, there is smoke rising from the chimney.
Okay. Before I do anything, I just want to close my door real quick. I think
Sure.
my cat's going ham. One
Yep.
second. Okay. So I'm gonna keep walking towards the house and kind of make sure he's not stopping behind me.
Okay, no, he's not.
Okay.
He's following you fairly close by, but you can just see this kind of continually horrified expression
Sure.
on his face as he goes.
How starved do the cattle look? Like, does
The cattle actually look to be in pretty good shape. It's just that there's not that many of them, and but they look as if they're in pretty good condition. Fairly well tended. And as you get closer to the house, you can see that like right around the house is fairly well tended. Like the grass is cut and all that kind of stuff. It's just when you get farther out is where it looks like it's kind of fallen into disrepair. And the doors are unpainted, as I said, but it's definitely a little bit better taken care of as they get close. And when you get close to the farm and you look right next to the farmhouse, he stops and he says, I can't go in there, and I can't go in there yet. I can't after what they did. Could you please just, I don't know, talk to them, tell them, see what they are. I'll help if I have to, I will, but I can't face them yet, please.
do you need to stretch?
And he kind of looks at you, like blinks, like he doesn't understand.
I don't know who your parents are. What use do I have of them?
He says, you're stronger, much, much stronger than me, and much stronger than maybe even them. If they saw you first, well, it would take them a moment. Even if they did try to attack you, it wouldn't be the way that they did it to me. They couldn't beat you. And you can see there's like a mixture, like a little vague bit of admiration, like, kind of like you're the big brother or something.
Sure.
Yeah. He says, I'll be right on the side of the fence. I'll be listening. They can't see me here, but I'll be able to hear everything. But if I come in first, I don't know what they'll do. They might try to kill me. Maybe they did that to my friends. My friends. And he just stops.
Well, I don't need to go in there alone, and you don't need to go in there first. Let's both go. What use do I have of going in there alone?
And he
No
said,
closure. No closure. There's no closure that I can get out of this. Anything that happens in there, you need to see.
and he kind of, he sort of looks at you and then says, all right, I'll be behind you then. And he kind of steps up like he's, he'll
Sure.
move or whatever.
Is the door open, closed?
Closed.
Closed. Okay. I'm just gonna go open it.
Okay. You're just gonna open it?
Yeah, just open it.
Okay. So when you open it, there's a moment of kind of like, you open it, you see the house inside, is larger, obviously, and seems to be, you get the impression that like on the table, there is a bigger sort of rectangular kitchen table, and you can see that on the table are what looks like some plates of uneaten food or half-eaten food, maybe. So the kitchen looks like it's just been recently used, but otherwise it seems to be fairly well tended. And what's up, Baker? And when you open the door, you see this woman who is sort of sitting with her head in her hands, just sort of like
Her head or a head?
Yeah, exactly. Holding a head. No, her head. Her clearly connected head.
Okay.
In her hands.
Important distinction.
Yeah, no, for sure. Her head in her hands, and she's just like leaning on the table, and and she sort of looks up, and then she's like, huh, and then you see this man stride into view. A rather large man, again, not nearly as large as you, but a large man with a thick brown beard and mustache. He looks as if he's maybe in his, I don't know, mid to late 40s, something like that. And as he sees you, he kind of his fists and hands look like they are the hands of a farmer. They are weathered and wrinkled and calloused, from use of various tools and implements and stuff. And as he sees you, he's like, he says, "Why did you just have a granola bar?" That would then choke you later when you're trying to speak.
I need my fiber.
I need more granola. No, he doesn't do that. When he sees you, he says, What is the meaning of this? Why are you just coming into my home? You can't just walk into my home without leave."
I got sick of seeing wheat.
And he says, "What are you talking about? Who are you?"
Vraxos.
And he says, "Vraxos, huh? Vraxos. All right, well, what are you doing, Vraxos? Why are you coming here? We're just simple farmers. We don't want any trouble."
Do you know why there's 2 headless children in the house next door?
He says,
That sounds like trouble to me.
and he says, and you can see now as you look more closely. Make an insight check for me, please.
Mm-hmm. 8.
Okay, so so you don't see a whole lot, but what you do see is that there are clearly, this guy looks like he hasn't slept. I mean, that's very obvious. No. And you can see
burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, and you can see that behind him, the woman at the table, presumably his wife, you could see that there's tears on her face. Like her face is tear streaked as if she's been crying a lot. And as you say this, both she and he, you see that they kind of like their eyes both narrow, and she says, "Why would you say that? Why would you say that? What a nasty thing to say. I don't know who you are, but don't talk. That's cruel. Why would you say something like that?" And the man says, "Easy, Melina, easy. And he says to you, "Mister, I understand you may think you're trying to do something here, but all you're doing is making a couple of grief-stricken people more filled with sadness. We don't appreciate it. Now, there ain't no reason for you to be here, so I'd appreciate it if you just leave."
I've seen that cry before. Those are the tears of a mother who has lost a son.
And she looks up at you, and her anger fades a little bit, and she says, "I don't know what." And she says, "I don't want to talk about any of this. Abner, make him go away, Abner." And Abner...
Yeah, Abner, make me go away.
"What you gonna do, Abner?" And Abner says, "I don't know what you know about loss, mister, but there ain't no cause to come in with people who've lost the one they care about. I'm sorry about whatever happened to them. Those people." Kind of looks down on the ground.
I know more about loss than you would imagine. I had a bet on the Falcons winning the Super Bowl, and they were up 28-3.
Why would you bring that up, Abner? Abner, why would you bring that up? It just reminded me of the election. It was the worst possible Super Bowl. No.
I bought that ticket in April.
Jesus.
All right. Sorry.
All right.
I know more about loss than you may fathom. But I'm not here for myself. And then I'll kind of move out of the way a bit. So at least, I don't know if he's like hiding behind my leg or kind of if he's completely out of sight, but just to try and make
Right.
Elias's presence a little more felt.
So the minute they see him, their eyes widen again, and Abner is like, I don't know what you think you're doing, mister. And Elias says, Pa, what's wrong? Why are you so angry? And Abner says, you get that thing out of here. You understand me? And he points right at him and he sort of says to you, you get him out of here. You get that out of here right now.
Am I the thing or is he the thing?
No, he seems to be talking about Elias.
No, I say that out loud.
Oh, okay, I see. And sorry. And he says, and he's just like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just get him out of here and don't come back.
Is he? So now that after I say that, I kind of look at him, and when he's saying it doesn't matter, is he directing those words at Elias or me?
He is directing it. Yeah, he's staring directly at Elias, and he's saying it to you. And Elias is like, Pa, what do you mean? Why did you hurt me, Pa? And Abner just says, goes back and says, looks back and says at you and says, I'm telling you for the last time, you get out of here, you take that thing with you, you get off my land and my property, I won't ask again. And then you see he grabs from the other side of the door where you couldn't see before this axe, and he just holds it in front of him. It is clearly a wood axe, but it is also clearly stained with blood.
Ooh.
And Elias kind of recoils. Pa! What did you do? What? Did you do something to Alina and Edwin? And Abner you could see his breathing is heavy, like his knuckles are white around the handle of this axe, and he just says, get out of here with that thing.
Are these the strings you pull, Strahd?
Silence. Except for the soft weeping of Melina.
I'll look down at Elias and I'll say, is there more you need to see?
And he says, I don't know. And he kind of, and so he sort of like, almost like, Ma, please. And he starts walking forward, and Abner pulls up his axe. He's like, you don't take another step closer. And Elias is like, Pa, what are you? And he's like, you can tell that he's like trying to decide if he wants. Yeah, well, he's like if he gets any closer type of thing. And Elias is like, and Abner's like trying to, hold like the axe sort of like this, and you're sort of standing looking at both of them. Yeah. His mother is kind of leaned back. She has this look of abject terror on her face. And she's kind of pushed back a little bit as she's staring at Elias.
Yeah. I mean, Vraxos is not the Dr. Phil type.
Right.
I can
sure.
Tell you that,
oh, yeah.
So,
yep.
He's going to just let things play out, and I'm going to keep kind of an eye on the dad. Obviously, I don't want him to swing. If he's about to swing, I want to try and block his blow.
Okay. So Elias pushes his way through, and as he does this, he brings his axe down as if he's going to, basically like you said. But before you can block it, Elias's hand whips up at inhuman speed and blocks the axe, rips it out of his father's hand, tosses it aside, and says, "Why have you done this to me, Mom, Pa? Why?" And you look and suddenly see as his body kind of lengthens, his arms, his hands, his claws kind of lengthen, and he sort of like, and his mother is like screaming, like pulling herself back to the basically pulling herself back to the wall, as does the father. And he looks around at you and says, "This is what happens when your parents hurt you like this." And you can see his teeth are pointed. And he leaps at Abner and attacks him. And Abner sort of falls below his weight. And with that, I would like us to roll initiative, please.
Oh, snap. I'm thinking Werewolf Quest and Witcher. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, although the pointed teeth, this doesn't look like a wolf.
Yeah, I know. I was going to
yeah.
say it doesn't seem like a werewolf. So, all right.
All right, let's get some.
It wasn't a field of garlic. That should have been.
That's how you knew, right?
Yeah, that's how I gotta click on the token, right? Yeah.
Yes, I believe so. Let me get the.
That's a 7.
Okay, that's a 7, and I can pull up the turn counter, but it doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really matter at the moment.
I've been had.
There we go. All right, let's get some music going here. Okay, I like Ten's question mark. Okay, so okay. All right. Let me know, chat, if that music's okay or if it's too loud, please. Okay. And okay, so 7. Okay. Believe it or not, you're the first to act.
Right.
Not a good initiative roll for the bad guys. So, what do you want to do? He is currently on top of his father, like who's fallen on the ground, who's struggling with him, and you can see that he's got his claw, like his hands, which are really more now like claws, are sort of reaching, like kind of reaching as if he's going to, rip him up.
So as soon as I see him turn, essentially, and jump towards him, I'm going to kind of yell out and very clearly upset. You can hear it in my voice. I'm sick of these games. And as I'm doing that, I want to enter into my rage.
Okay.
So.
Sounds like a plan. You should hear it now, Rala, I think. You can hear the music, yeah, Cairo?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. All right. So, all right. In that case, let's have you. All right. So you have rage.
I don't actually have to do anything for rage, right?
Right. I think it's just. I believe it should be as a bonus action.
I just have to. Yeah.
Right.
And I remove the thing from my counter.
We will add, however, a. Oops. Nope. Let's see. What's a good one for rage? Roar! There we go. The icon of,
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. That should be a little bit better now, Rala. Okay. So now, you are, all right. So you can see that he's there. You've raged. Are you, so the mother, like the combat situation is that the mother is sort of like back against the wall, like backing away, and screaming. And Abner is on the ground, with his, son, apparently, on top of him.
I want to grab Eli
Okay.
as I can, maybe by the back of the neck and shoulder, and rip him off the dad and try and like kind of pull him away so he's facing me.
Okay. So let's have you make a athletics check to try to do that.
Okay. If I can slightly modify that, is there a window nearby?
There are a couple of windows on the ends of the house that you see, but I don't know if they're nearby per se. Like, I mean, you could probably get them, maybe. Like, you could maybe get them over, but not like right in immediate view. You'd need to walk to it or, like run over to it.
Okay. If I can, modify me grabbing him, I'd like to try and throw him out the window, like as I'm pulling him off, just so we can take this fight outside.
Okay.
That
Right.
might be asking a lot, but I want to try it.
That'll be a hell of a throw, but let's give it a
Yeah.
shot.
And I want to be clear about this. What's up, Rob? I want to be
Hey, Rob.
clear about this. Does this count as an attack? Because I want it to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's going to be
Okay,
because
just wanna
to
make sure.
get it from like this is essentially almost similar to a grapple,
Okay.
and it's going to be opposed by his strength because he doesn't want to be pulled off. So
Is
yeah.
there now? I don't know if there's a way I can use my great axe to assist with this as an attack because I.
Not if you're going to also. I mean, it depends what you want to do. You can hit him with the axe. You can, or you can pull him up. But if you pull him up, you really need to be doing it. The axe is not going to help you pull him off him.
So I can't like Tiger Woods him out the window.
No, it's too far. You're going to have to actually
Yeah,
like
that's
chuck
fair.
him.
Yeah, no,
so.
I'll do that. I want to toss him out the window.
All right. So let's pull. So we're going to do this in two steps. First of all, to pull him off. So let's do that first.
Okay.
So go ahead and make an athletics check for me to see if you can pull him off there. No, Rob, just Rob is hosting us. Rob will be back, of course, tonight for the Art Vocalist.
No, it says while raging, you gain the following advantage on strength checks. Is
Yep.
this it?
Yep.
That's athletics. Anything
yeah.
that uses strength. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. You're going to Phil Mickelson into the rough way up the side.
All right.
Nice. That's why you do this. All right. So you
Yeah.
now let me actually see because it is opposed. Let's see how he does.
I don't like change. Throw him out the window.
Yeah, you were able to pull him off, but honestly, it's harder than it ought to be. Like given his size, like you should be able to just like when you picked him up with the stake back in the field, it was like he was really light.
Yeah.
His pulling off is difficult, and as he does so, he like rips at the flesh of his father, kind of cries out in pain as you get him off. Now the second throw is to chuck him. This is also going to be an advantage because you're like type of thing.
Like javelin throw him through the
Yep.
window, right?
Yep.
All right. So this is another athletics.
Yep.
15.
Yeah. So you're able to do that. It's a hell of a throw. So you just like breaks through the glass. You hear this sort of surprise of some of the cattle that are nearby as he goes flying out, hits the ground, and you hear just as he hits the ground, like this sort of groaning, hissing type of thing. And Abner kind of stares at you wide-eyed. Now you can still move if you want because you were just right there when you did all that.
Stay inside, and I'll start walking outside.
Okay, so you see him as you come out. They definitely do. In fact, they even slam the door. And this thing gets up. Now, he is now completely altered. You can see that where his eyes were this dark brown, they are now a kind of glowing red. You can see that his teeth are pointed. Like I said, his hands are like claws. And you can see him coming towards you as he sort of looks at you, and he goes running in towards you with his claws at incredible speed, like just, moving really quickly. And he slashes at you twice. Let's see. That is a 15 and a 22.
Is this bludgeon or slashing damage? I have resistance to slashing.
It is slashing damage, yes, but you still got to be. You can be hit by it, but then you might be resistant afterwards.
So 15 and a 22.
Yes.
My armor class is 12. So
Okay. So those are both going to hit.
so two Wolverine like. Damn.
Yep.
Right.
Let's see.
Internally, again, I am jumping for joy for my crit on my health.
I was just gonna say that. I mean, yeah, exactly. All right, you take 12 points of damage as this thing slashes. Oh no, I'm sorry, because you're resistant. So I take that back. 14. Okay, sorry. You take 7 points of damage. That resistance to slashing is going to be useful.
Okay.
You take 7 points of damage there as this thing is just like, and it's just like moving at like, as I say, just like incredible speed, like trying to rip at you as you were doing this. It is your turn. Now you're still disconnected from it so that you could swing at him if you want. Like it's still, but it's up to you as to what you want to do.
Yeah, I want to Mookie Betts this guy out with my great axe.
I appreciate the reference. May Mookie Betts do that many times. Okay, let's see that. Ruud raging. Yeah. Oh yeah, Ruud is raging. This is the time Ruud rages for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to just kind of yell out and take my great axe and just swing it both two-handed and try and hit him right in the chest.
Make that attack. Yeah, this is the we need to make that a thing. Hashtag Ruud Rage. Just rage. All right.
Does it automatically? I've never used rage before. That's why I'm asking. Does it automatically add the +2, or do I have to do that myself?
You know what? Make an attack normally, and let's see if it does. I don't know.
So just okay. So I don't roll at advantage either, right?
I don't think you. No, I don't think you get advantage on rage attacks. Just on strength checks, right?
It says bonus rage damage on strength-based melee weapons. That's it. So.
Yeah, you'll get rage damage for sure if you hit, but I'm just not necessarily that you're going to hit.
Yeah. A 9. So I'm...
Okay. That is
too much rage.
It looks like it didn't include the +2, so that would be an 11. But yeah, 11 is not going to get it done, unfortunately.
Too much rage. All right.
But it's, it's still a pretty good swing, and this thing just like, really, really fast again, and then comes up and tries to slash at you again. This time we've got an 8. That's not going to get it done. Yes. And then there is a 15, though.
That's a hit.
So, okay, that is going to do another 6 reduced to 3. So that does another 3 points of damage.
Okay. I have this thing in my inventory called Stone's Endurance, and I have no idea what the hell it is. I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, this is a good time to see if you've got anything like breakdown transformed guy potion.
Stone's Endurance. You can focus yourself to occasionally shrug off injury. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d12, add your constitution modifier to the number rolled, and reduce the damage by that total.
So if you wanted to, so I'll allow you to do that on, you shouldn't do it on that last hit, but the one before that if you want, or you could hold on to it in case that something worse happens. I'm
assuming I can't use this endlessly, so I'm going to hold off on it.
Okay, yeah, no, you definitely can't use it endlessly.
Yeah,
that is true.
I only have one shot, so I'm going to wait.
And it is your turn.
Okay. So he's just kind of frantically attacking me here.
Yes. At the moment.
Is this why you brought me here? And I'm going to try an overhand swing as I'm kind of yelling this at him and try and hit him.
Okay. Go ahead and make that attack then.
15
Hit.
Or 17, I guess.
That definitely hits. Yes.
Okay. So, but I should be adding the damage to it, or the +2.
Yes.
That's the thing I'm kind of confused about.
Well, right. So you should be adding the plus. So
the damage, not the actual hit, right?
Right. Exactly. The rage should be the damage. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, it gets added on there, so it's 13.
Okay. 13 damage. All right. So he hisses as you sort of slice into him. He hisses angrily. And as you're looking at him, you are somewhat, I won't say horrified, but you are somewhat discomfited to discover that you can see that his wound closes up a little bit as he kind of gets up from your attack, which kind of pushed him backwards. And he kind of then jumps forward again. This time, he tries to, instead of slashing you, he tries to grab you, is what it looks like to you. And let's see. Okay, so he tries to grab you, and he might have succeeded. Let's see.
I will remind you that as a Goliath, I count as one size larger when determining just for things that I can push, drag, lift, and whatnot. I don't know if that applies to someone grabbing me, but...
Right. Well, let's find out so I can be sure about that. Insofar as it's been a while since I've had to have someone grappling a Goliath.
Yeah, I'm just making sure. Not everybody can choke slam the Big Show. That's all I'm saying. Only a select few.
Only a select few. Yeah. Okay, let's see. It's actually a good point. What is your size then?
I am currently. Where does that say that in bio? Yes.
Enormous.
I am medium, but I guess I would count as large.
It would count as large. Okay, so it can still do that. It has to be no more than one size larger than you. Okay, now you need to contest this this check. So He did this. No, okay. So B7. Okay. Yeah. So you need to. So you are going to need to try to contest this by using either an athletics or acrobatics check. My guess is you're going to want athletics, but
Yes, sir.
and you're going to get advantage on that, of course, because of the rage.
Yes.
Oh, damn.
That's a crit.
Yeah, and you know what? He crit too, so you ended up resisting it,
crit
but
versus
you
crit,
you
nice.
resisted it. That was pretty impressive because he
Nice.
reaches in and you're like, no, and you just like pull back or whatever, and so he falls backwards. He seems slightly surprised in his his demeanor. Okay, and it is now your turn.
I'm gonna try and do the same thing to him. I want to try and wrap my arm because I'm assuming I'm still bigger than him, right?
Yes, you are. And Marinda, what's up, Marinda? But it was not a tie. They both critted, but Ruud's crit was a little bit better than Elias's crit.
Right.
So he's like, of course that's right. Okay, so yes, so you can do the same thing to him, and he is one size smaller than you. Yes.
Yeah, but what I want to do is I want to in like one motion grab him and try and get behind him and try and like suplex him on the ground.
Okay, so to do that, you're going to be making an athletics
Kurt
check, and that's going to be contested by. So basically, the same thing in reverse is what we're going to happen here.
Exactly. I'm going to do that at advantage. 20.
Okay. Let's see how he does. Yeah, he does not do it. So you grab him. Now, when he is grappled, when a character is grappled, it means that his speed becomes 0, and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. It could theoretically still try to attack you, but it depends on kind of what you're doing. So, yeah, basically, so you can move with him now. What do you want to do with this thing now that you have him? You're going to throw him back through the window? He just keeps throwing him out of windows like, smash, smash.
Exactly, yeah. I'm going to tighten my grip.
Okay.
And I want to literally kind of suplex him on the ground, like go backwards with him and slam him on the ground, trying to kind of knock him out.
Okay.
Maybe if I can knock him out of this mode.
Okay, let's see.
Exactly. I'm going to rock bottom him. And give him a stunner. And
I was waiting for you to do like the DDT, like the
tell him to suck it and then
suck it.
Go eat his parents' cooking.
Can you smell what the Ruud is cooking? All right. All right. Well, let's have you make then. Sure. Let's have you make I'm going to have you make another athletics check then to see if you do that. This is kind of improvised, but we'll work it this way.
Okay. I'm trying to like.
No, I totally get it. It's a good move. No, I get it.
ground.
It's a good move.
Yeah. 23.
Okay. So he tries to fight back very unsuccessfully, and you bring him back. Bam! And there is this terrible cracking sound. I would like you to roll damage for this, please.
Sure.
And we're going to say... I'm actually going to have you roll a 12-sided die. I'm going to have you add your rage and strength damage to it. So 12 plus whatever your strength modifier is, plus your rage modifier. And so we'll have you plus 2 plus whatever your strength is.
That's all right.
7,
That is a 7.
All right. So you smash him on the ground, and as he sort of, and he kind of like you smash them on the ground, and you can kind of hear him like, he is maybe stunned, but he is not knocked out yet. And that would have frankly killed most people. And so, you know what you're dealing with. At this point, the door opens, and you see Abner there, and he's holding the axe, and he says, "You've got to kill him!" And behind him, you hear this horrible shrieking about, yelling about my son, and he says, "You got to kill him! It's not our son! It's not our son anymore!" And you can see Elias is kind of beginning to weakly kind of get to its feet as it recovers his wits.
What were his friend's name again? I'm sorry.
His friend's name were hold on a second. Too many windows.
Was Ember? No, not Amber.
Yeah, it was Alina, I believe.
Alina?
God damn it, Alina and Edwin.
Could I? Were Alina and Edwin like you? Or like this? Or like it? I'll say like it.
You're
So,
saying this to Abner?
I'm saying this out loud for anyone to answer.
Okay. And Abner yells back and says, "Yes, they all were. They came back last night, all three of them, like this. We barely escaped the first time, and we knew we didn't have much time left. So we had to kill them because they were turning into this." And Elias kind of shrieks, almost a half combination of his previous form and his current one. And Abner sort of, puts a hand on the frame, and he says, "Oh, the gods help me. I didn't want to do any of it, but it was either that or what you see here. This is the work of Strahd. Strahd!" And he kind of yells up at the Strahd. He yells up at this guy.
Of course it is.
And Elias, you can see, is like now starting to struggle.
Wait, Elias wasn't the one who said that.
No, it was Abner.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm saying Elias now below you is like, as because you suplexed him,
Yeah.
and you're like, he's kind of like starting to stir and
Yeah. It sounds to me like there were many innocents lost. And I'm gonna stand up and step away from him.
Okay. So you stand up and step away from him, and Elias kind of like stands up, sort of swaying back and forth slightly, and you can see his eyes are kind of flickering, and then he looks at you and he says, "You God, yours. Get out of here. Don't come back." And then he turns and he runs directly at Abner. But Abner steps back. And as he steps back, Elias comes right up to the open door and stops and snarls and growls and yells, but does not pass the threshold of the door. And you get the feeling not that like, "Oh, I realized it's my father." There's something else is going on that is preventing him from entering.
Bubble shield.
Sort of. Might have something to do with vampires.
Yeah. I just saw the Leslie Nielsen Dracula movie.
I'm sure that would have given you the information.
Yes, Mel Brooks.
That would be
Wrong
my
man.
source.
Wrong man.
Oh, man.
Okay. I am going to pick up my axe,
Okay.
sheath it,
Okay.
and walk away.
Okay. So there is this moment of silence as you walk away, and then there's you hear Abner's voice yelling, "You fool! If you don't kill it now, it'll come and get us later, and everything else, it'll wait. It'll wait outside. It'll burrow below. It'll come out when we don't expect it, and we'll die here. Is that what you want? We'll die here." And Elias is like, "Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here."
I'm gonna keep walking.
Okay. You walk as the day gets dimmer and dimmer, and cross over the hills. You hear the screams of Abner, or the yells of Abner, the screams of Melina, the ravenings of Elias. And after the second hill, it's possible that you hear them change to screams for help in the distance. But eventually, all of that is gone, and silence. And as you take another few steps, you hear another voice say, As I thought. When the time came, you would abandon that family as you abandoned your own. And you turn to see that Strahd is standing in the wheat field, his arms crossed with a smile on his face.
Again, puppets for your strings.
He says, I wonder how you felt when this man that you tried to help, when the parents you thought you could save, I wonder how you felt when you heard them scream, heard him ravening. Did it give you anger, sadness, despair? Perhaps you enjoyed it.
You killed those parents when you took their son.
And he smiles and bows slightly and says, I do not deny it. But it was not for them that I did this, but for you. I wanted to see your reaction. It is your actions we are discussing here. And your actions are interesting to me.
Am I not but a pawn in your game?
And he chuckles and he says, that is essentially correct. But no one here is anything more than a pawn in my game. You will find your friends. You will see them. You will talk to them. They will welcome you in. They will tell you that they are prepared to try to kill me. And only I will know that when the time came, you abandoned your family, as you will abandon them in the end. Your moment will come, Ruud Raxos, and when it does, you will remember this curse I place upon you, for it will envelop you for the rest of your days. And he steps back, and then he opens his mouth, and from his mouth and his hands emanates this black cloud. And the cloud rushes over you like way faster than you can react. And you feel like just like kind of encompassed, somehow. And then there is silence. And when you awaken, you find yourself on the other side, sort of lying on the ground on the other side of a small hill. And as you look up over the hill, you can see your companions from before. You see Weller, you see Mason, you see Alec, you see Django, and you see another woman that you do not recognize, who is dressed like one of the Vistani that you saw when you first came to Barovia. They are standing looking at a stone. And as you sort of stand up to look at them and sort of speak to them, or do whatever you're going to do, as you sort of stand up from them, you hear a voice in your head say, I am with you. I am with you. I will always be with you, Fraxos. And that, I think, is where we're going to call an end to the session for today.
Damn.
Welp. Good stuff, man.
That was awesome.
Good stuff.
That was awesome. I cannot wait to be the Goliath Venom. That was awesome.
So to speak. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk more to you off stream about implications,
Yes,
but I
sure.
think you have a good guess.
Absolutely. That was awesome.
And I have to give a little bit of credit, by the way, to part of what I used for this was an adventure that is called Death in the Cornfields. And it's by a guy named Merrick. I don't remember his last name. But if you ever do like, he has a whole big list of adventures like sorted by level that a lot of DMs consult. And this was one of his first published adventures. But it was set in this world, and I thought it worked perfectly for this. And then I obviously made a lot of adjustments and modifications for your specific circumstances. But anyway, so that's the deal. That was a lot of fun. So welcome back, man. It is going to be good to see you in the full group. And yeah, you guys in chat got to see a little bit of the Ruud by himself, Ruud unleashed, so to speak. I like that we got as many wrestling metaphors as we did out of that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You know,
I definitely helped a little bit with the suplex and stuff.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good, and the moment of raging was definitely necessary.
Yeah.
How did you feel about today, and where will the fine folks, besides on this channel, of course, see you next?
Of course. I felt outstanding. That was loads of fun. I am so happy to be back and get Vraxos back into the mix of things. I'm excited to get back with the party and kind of maybe share what happened, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe find out what happened, maybe not.
Yeah, exactly.
And kind of see how things develop from here, because something tells me that what I'll find out from them is going to be pretty eye-opening as well. So
Yep.
That's pretty exciting. In terms of where the folks can find me, as you stated, definitely on this channel. Next session that we have, which I don't believe we've done the scheduling.
We haven't scheduled it yet because I wanted to get through with this, but we're definitely going to do.
Okay.
We got 2 sessions coming up in November, though, folks. So don't miss it, because you want to see this man return with the full crew.
Yes,
So
I'm very much looking forward to that. And there's a dog. There's a dog now too. That's exciting. I hope so.
oh, that's true. There is a dog. That's actually true.
I did not know that.
Yes, there is.
All the more reason to be excited.
Yes.
And other than that, I will probably be around Twitch all over the place. I mean, whether or not it'll be on my stream is highly unlikely, but more than likely it'll be on Enforcer's stream, whether he is streaming a video game or Strahd, another one of the members of this fine crew, who DMs a campaign that he runs with Enforcer and a few other people, that I believe our next session is scheduled for the 28th on Sunday.
It's exciting.
We've had a kind of a rocky few months in terms of scheduling, but we'll see how things go from there. Other than that, definitely here. And that day cannot come soon enough after what happened today, because that was super awesome. I got to tell you, I was a little intimidated, obviously, doing the one-on-one session. I thought it went great, though. I was really happy with the way everything turned out. And yes, of course, Baker is another one of the fine gentlemen who is in that session with Strahd. So.
His name is not Mushu. His name is Yishwan. Trent name.
Yes.
His name is Chicken Dumpling. No, his name is. Yeah. And the other thing I want to mention, because I don't want to let this go, you, sir, are level 3. So you were level 3, which means you're now almost caught up, I think, with them. I think they are. Yeah, they're all level 3. So you are caught up with them. So you are now officially level 3. And that means, actually, do you want to, the rest of it you can do, you can do later, but, because I know you have to get going here in a minute, but what you could do is roll hit points if you want, since you rolled really well the first time. We've got right now, you've got 16 out of 26. So do you want to do that next roll?
Sure. Why not?
All right, here we go, chat.
Roll 1d12 plus 1.
Oh!
Oh no! The other side of the coin.
Oh, it averages out. Oh, the average out. Oh man,
that's a shame.
Welp.
Well, that is a 1 or a 2.
What you missed, Marinda, is that he crit the last time. Yeah. So for second he got maximum. This one he got nothing. Like, oh man,
that's a shame.
It was right hanging on the blame Weller. Yep, it's all Trent's fault. It's all Weller's fault. Still, having said that, I just want to point out that Django is at 32 hit points. Weller's at 14. Mason's at 35. Alec is at 25, and you're at 28. So you're just middle of the pack, basically.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it's so bad. That was so bad, although now it goes on my counter, which is like, listen, I didn't roll it. All right.
That's rough.
He's a wizard on the inside. But yeah, and you folks will see sort of the impact of that. Chiron knows a little bit of this already, but you will see the impact of what happened to him with Strahd as well. And it was good times. I really thought, by the way, that you handled Vraxos, I think, just right. You didn't ignore an obvious issue, but you were also playing with like the "get out of my head," type of thing.
Yeah.
And that was interesting because basically, remember, while they were doing this, while you were doing this, the party itself was engaged in its own thing. They'll probably tell you this in character. Out of character, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that they were also in the midst of this kind of dream sequence situation deal that they was dealing with Death House. So it's not, like this all fits in a way that the time frame was what it was.
I can tell you that from Vrax's perspective, the thing that he struggles with, I should say, is he's uncertain. He can't be 100% sure if what he saw was an illusion or if it was this guy moving him from plane to plane, from place to place, and actually witnessing the consequences of what's going on.
Right.
So that's the only thing that's kind of bothering him a little bit, but for the most part, no regrets for most of the actions that he makes. So
you're quite right. You're quite right that it's a it's a difficult this is the thing that I pointed out to them, which now that you've seen this also, you can see is that Strahd is not a guy who hangs out behind a curtain. Like Strahd is directly involved. He's a micromanager, and he, as you can see, wants to find out everyone's deal. And we'll have multiple examples of stuff like that. In a way, it's one of the things that makes, I can do a one-on-one with anybody, but it makes making a one-on-one in the world of Ravenloft even more logical because like there's so much of kind of like a let me tell you what I type of thing. So anyway, but I thought that was a lot of fun to sort of see this going on. And I have to say, like, again, like I'm not a big horror guy myself, but I like spooky and I like
it's a great setting
for that, for this set. Yeah, like for the Halloweenish kind of, it just is it just sort of fits the right kind of time for that. So, and I feel like every undead creature ever that freaks me out is like the famous like moving too quickly and like all these weird angles and like, oh my god, anything with Resident Evil, like the hunters. Oh god, the hunters. Anyway, exactly. Before I kill you, Mr. Bond, let me tell you my life history. Anyway. But thanks a lot, dude. This was great. And we will get a chance to see you back with us next month as we return to the full crew. But this was great fun. You did a great job with it. And I was glad that we got to work this out and make it work. It was good stuff.
Absolutely. That was an absolute blast. I can't wait for the next one, guys.
Awesome. So everyone give some love to Don Cairo. Great job tonight. Thank you, chat, by the way, for being on point. There were some fun things today as well, both wrestling metaphors and otherwise. And Cairo, my friend, thank you very much. We will chat later about stuff too.
Absolutely. You guys have a great day.
All right. See you, man. All right. There we go. All right, folks. Hashtag Ruud lives. Yes. He's made it clear that he wants it to be Vraxos. We want to make sure that we focus on Vraxos. So, but this was good stuff, guys. I really had a good time with that. Whoops. Sorry. I really had a good time with that. And I hope that you folks did as well, because this gets us back in. This allows us to sort of lock it back in. And again, we can do this with anything, but I think the fact that we're able to do it with Cairo, with this character in sort of the land of Ravenloft, makes this work really well. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see how the party connects with him, what he decides to reveal and not reveal. And for those of you who saw this live, obviously you'll get more of a sort of insight into that. Speaking of those who saw this live, I do want to thank everybody who was able to see this from the audio side of things as well. So thank you to the folks who are listening to the audio podcast of this. I hope you enjoyed this special episode of Curse of Strahd Day 8 as well. If so, please make sure that you are subbing to this feed, the podcast feed. Please come join us when you are able to on the live feeds of this, on the video stream, which is at twitch.tv/Arvaneleron. And thank you to both Kilobyte for setting up the website and for maintaining it. And thank you, of course, to Rudy Basso, our wonderful audio editor, who will be once again hearing how awesome he is as he edits this episode, which is to come. But thank you so much. And I'm going to sign off for the audio folks now. Thanks, everybody, and we will see you back here for day 9 of D&D with Infinity and Beyond, Curse of Strahd. The next episode starting, well, I don't know when you're going to be hearing this, but starting next time. Thanks, everybody, and we will talk to you all soon. All right. Now, I'm back with all of you folks. So this is post the audio part now. So yeah, that was great. I really had a good time, and I think Cairo did really well with it. You know, I've always said this, that Cairo, I think sometimes undersells his ability as a player. And I think that the reason that I was so happy to have him in is that I think he really works well in this kind of an environment, and that was sort of proven, I think, by the way he acted today. He did a really good job with it. And, of course, Tren has been a part of this before, so Tren has been great at it, of course, as well. But that was really amazing. I am excited to sort of see how things proceed as time goes on, but that's going to be great. Okay, now, before I sign off, I do want to see what we're at as far as the next game is concerned, because remember, we are closing up the vote today. We have got, let's see. I'm looking to see what we've got. This straw poll is taking a long damn time to load. Why is the straw poll taking so long to load? Is anyone else had problems with the straw poll? Oh, there we go. Maybe? No? Why are you just showing me a blank? A blank is not helping. The straw poll is offline. Yeah, it's offline for me too. God damn it. What, does anyone know what it... Does anyone know what it was at? The last I checked, it was tied. Come on. Ugh. The last time I checked, it was on. It was tied. Wow. Well, that's great. Does anyone know anything about troubleshooting straw polls? I'm just trying another browser. Yeah, no, we don't. We definitely don't consult the Florida court system. That's for sure. Well, I mean, the last that I knew, it was tied at 8 votes apiece. For the last that I saw, it was tied at 8 votes apiece for Spider-Man and for the hell was the other game? Darkest Dungeon was behind, and it was Spider-Man, which was tied with what the hell was it tied with? What was the other game? Oh, Spider-Man was tied with what? Firewatch. There. Okay, we got it back. It's back. I think it's back. Yes, it's back. Huzzah! Woo! Okay, it's back. So now you can get your votes in. Okay, it's tied at 7 votes each, actually. 7, 7, and 4. It's back. All right, thank goodness. Okay, so it is tied up. So we are, and it's actually really close. Spider-Man is at 7 votes. Firewatch is at 7 votes. Darkest Dungeon is at 6 votes. So we've got about another 5 minutes, at which point I'm going to have to close up shop and get ready for my stream in about an hour. So you have until then to get your votes in. It is very close. Spider-Man and Darkest Dungeon tied at 7, and Firewatch with 8 votes. Barely ahead. This is a very close vote. I'm going to be playing this, of course, next Tuesday. Now, a couple of things that I want to mention as things that have been coming up as of late that I just wanted to mention about stuff to consider going forward, as my son apparently is crushed in the background. Hold on a second. My son is not feeling well. He's had like kind of a bad cough and cold the last couple of days, so he has not been a happy camper for a while. But so anyway, so just a couple of things that are sort of announcements about things coming up. Schedule wise, as I said, I have got I've got coming up at 4 p.m. Eastern today. I have got the release stream, the official GOG release stream. I shouldn't say that. The official GOG.com's Twitch release stream of Thronebreaker, which looks really cool. I'm really actually excited to try it and see how it goes. So I'm going to be doing that over on Pen and Pixels. That'll be at 4. And then tonight at 9 p.m. I will be back here with our vocalists, and we are choosing between one of two games at this point. The two game possibilities are game number 1 is the Banner Saga 2, and game number 2 is a game called Huntsman: The Winter's Curse. Both of these are possibilities, and we're just deciding between the two of them. I've narrowed it down to that list. But either way, you will get a lot of our vocalist love with the wonderful voice acting team, and it will be all 4 of the team will be with us. I will make an announcement tonight about one thing concerning one member of the team, but we will have tonight Maggie, we will have Russ, we will have Rob, and we will have Zach. So they will be with us, and that's going to be happening tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern. Then I will be back with you guys on Friday when I will be finishing up Lone Wolf HD Remastered. I have successfully transferred over the Toonstruck saves at last, so after Lone Wolf HD Remastered, I'll then be going on to Toonstruck, finishing up that game, and then the next game up at that point will be Bard's Tale 4. So I'll be into Bard's Tale 4 at that point, at least as video game wise on this channel. And on Saturday, we will have D&D with viewers. Now, if you liked D&D, if you enjoyed watching this today, and I don't know why you wouldn't, you'll get a chance to play with me yourself, and that would be on Saturday at starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Now, the requirements for this are, number 1, you need to be able to give about 4 hours, so you need to be able to commit for like 7 to 11 Eastern. You need to have a microphone, must have a microphone. If you don't have a mic, I'm sorry, but you can't play. I highly prefer a webcam. That's not an absolute, but I'm going to privilege people that have webcams over those that don't, because again, being able to see reactions I think is really important for a live stream. Having a basic knowledge of D&D would be helpful. 5th edition is awesome if you happen to know that, but having just a basic knowledge of D&D is the key. And then the last thing is being a genuinely, relatively nice person who plays well with groups, basically, who can play well in teams. And if you have played with me before, I will privilege those who have not played with me before over those that have, just to try to make sure that we get new blood in, and so that we can make sure that people have fun. However, that everyone gets a chance to have fun. However, it is usually the case that we have people that have played with us previously that play with us again. Sometimes we get all new people, but most of the time we have some mixture of new and old. And so it doesn't guarantee, you don't have, that's not as big a thing, basically, the playing before. But the other stuff, and in particular, the microphone, being willing to commit, being a genuinely nice, relatively nice person, and hopefully having a webcam, those are the things with a little bit of basic D&D knowledge. That stuff will really help. So that'll be Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then the last stream of the month will be on Tuesday. Actually, let me rephrase that. Next Tuesday, when I will be playing whatever game you folks choose, and then I will be over on GOG next week with a special edition of D&D with GOG Storm King's Thunder, also with a little bit of costuming. We're going to be dressing up a bit in honor of the season. And on Wednesday the 31st, Wednesday, of course, is Halloween. I think on Wednesday evening, I will be up and running and doing a little bit of I try to do every year, a reading of some spooky stuff. I always read Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, and then I usually read something else spooky, sometimes by him, sometimes not by him. And then sometimes, depending on time frame, I will play a little bit of some game like Sunless Sea or something which kind of has that kind of feel to it. But that game part is uncertain because I'm going to be getting back a little bit later anyway from Halloween shenanigans and all that. So the only thing I know for sure is that there's a good chance that I'll be up doing a reading, and that'll be happening on Wednesday. So that's what we're looking at. You never see me outside during the day. Yeah, that's true. Well, you've never actually seen me in person, period. So you have anyway. I've done streams live from events where the day was there. That wasn't all just the moon landing, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, you want to get a pet raven just so I can name it Quoth, comma, the Raven. Yes, I do. So anyway, but yeah, so that's what we're looking at. All right, folks. So I'm going to last call this. This is the last call for the straw poll. Right now, we are sitting at 8 votes for Firewatch and 7 votes each for Spider-Man and Darkest Dungeon. This is your last chance to get in your vote. If you want me to play your chosen game, this is the last chance to get in your vote. Vote now or forever hold your peace, because after this, we are closing up shop. This will be it. Coming up right now. So last few moments here. And interestingly, on my straw poll is an advertisement for Thronebreaker. So I'm hoping that we get a lot of people there tonight. The release stream for Pathfinder Kingmaker had enormous numbers, the biggest numbers that I ever had over at GOG. I think we ended up with about 380 people over there, which is the most I've ever had for that show. And so it would be interesting to see if we can cross that number over there and get some of those folks back over here too. Okay, going once, going twice. Booyah! All right, that is closed, and I will be playing Firewatch. So I will be playing Firewatch in a very, very close vote. Those of you who wanted Spider-Man or Darkest Dungeon, do not despair. You will have a chance to vote again in future months. I do this every month, so you will be able to do that in the future. So is what a one-off? Is what a one-off? Yeah, 777, great. Yeah, the thing flashing in the background is my compressor. So, and of course we've got my echo machine. That's what I'm talking about. I sound awesome this way. I whisper. Whisper, whisper. Go Boston Red Sox. American League champions. Oh, the thing on Saturday. I do that every other month. So usually what I do is once every other month, I do D&D with viewers. And then in between that, I do part of my regular series, which is my Zelda series. So next month, I'm actually going to be doing Zelda Wind Waker, which is the next one that I was going to do. So I'll be doing some Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. And then I will be... So yeah, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and then back in December, I'll do D&D with viewers. So every other month is D&D with viewers, and then the alternating months, I do part of the Zelda series. And when that's finished, then I have to decide if I want to go to Castlevania or do Metroid. By the way, speaking of Metroid, I have to say, I have been playing on the Nintendo Switch Axiom Verge. I haven't had a chance to do a lot of it because I've been doing a lot of writing and grading, but every so often just to unwind. And that's the amazing thing about the Switch, is that I can just take it and bring it down and play it. Axiom Verge is cool. Like, it really, really hits those Metroid buttons. I've really been having a good time with it so far. And it was just programmed by one dude, just one guy who did it together. So I've been impressed with it so far. I thought it was a lot of fun. I hope it continues to be as enjoyable as I found it so far. But I was really torn between Axiom Verge and Hollow Knight, which I know that Rob played. And I was really torn between them. I really want to play Hollow Knight for the universe, for the environment, but I'm not crazy about everybody saying that it's like Dark Souls, because I don't like Dark Souls. So I'm struggling with that. I really wish that there was a game like Hollow Knight that was hard but not ridiculous, which is what Dark Souls is. So anyway, challenging, I should say, challenging but not ridiculous. But anyway, as far as being a campaign, is it a one-off campaign? I don't know yet, Rala. Generally what I do, there have been times in the past where I've done other systems. Sometimes I've done the Advanced Fighting Fantasy system. I did a version some months back of Covert Ops, which is like a spy system. And then obviously I do a lot of D&D. I have done one-offs in sort of the world of Forgotten Realms. I've done things as part of Adventurers League. I think I'm leaning towards, I think I actually have a potentially good adventure that is set in the world of Strahd in Barovia, and I might do that because, first of all, we're doing this right now ourselves, and also because it's going to be, whatever is the 27th, right? So it's going to be pretty close to Halloween. So it'll be a perfectly Halloween themed thing. So I think I might do that, actually. I think I might do that. I don't know. I haven't decided for sure. But generally I do them as one shots. There have been times though where they've been linked together, where someone does an adventure and then next time they pick up the ball and they play the next adventure in the series. So sometimes the adventures are linked or connected in some way, but usually they're just sort of one-offs that I do that sort of play off as that, because we have different players every time. So yeah. So cool. All right. Well, it is 2 minutes after 3, and that means that I've got to rise up on out of here and not get done at 3:30 for a change, so I can go and get some food and then get ready for my GOG stream. But this was a lot of fun. I'm so happy that I got a chance to play with Cairo. Cairo did a great job and is awesome, as I've said many times. And so yeah, I'm excited about having him back in the group, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. And for those of you who feel like the daytime doesn't get enough love because I only stream once a week during the day, see, you got stuff that the night people were just going to have to catch up on with the VODs later on. So, but that's going to do it for me for now. So I want to thank everyone for being awesome people and for being here. I've already told you about ways to support the stream, so please do that. Follow the channel, the YouTube with R2 with exclamation point ArvTube, the Discord with exclamation point ArvCord, the shop with exclamation point ArvShop, the tweet with exclamation point ArvTweets. That's for my Twitter. Exclamation point ArvTreon will let you support the Patreon, which is really big and makes a big difference to the channel and also allows you to get stuff. My third album, by the way, my band's third album is now the cover has been done thanks to Rock God, so we're just uploading it now. So when it is available and being printed and all that, we will hold an official release. It'll either be in late October or early November, so that's going to be exciting, which I will do online, of course, on Twitch as well. And then, so that's that. You can get a copy of one of those albums on the Patreon. And of course, a character background. I'm going to be doing one for Brahms. That's going to be happening soon as well. And then last but certainly not least, that sub button, which is right above the video window. Subbing will allow you to have one of those awesome custom sub badges like you see in chat. In Rala's case, I think that's I don't know if that's a 1 or a 3 month. I think that's a 3-month badge. I think that's a yellow 3-month badge that Rala is sporting, and Trendane's got the 1 month. And when you get up to 6 months, you get a red, and when you get up to a year, we're talking bronze. So it's all kind of good stuff. So yes, and the last thing which Trendane mentions, now I will make a big thing about this next week and of course the week after because I'll actually be streaming on Election Day. But we are 2 weeks away, folks, from beginning to change the affect the insanity that has affected this country. Thank you so much for the cheer, Rala song. I appreciate that. That has affected America. I am going to be making a big thing out of this. This is the most important election that we've ever had. It is not the end of our work, but it is the critical beginning to it, or continuation of the work that we're doing. We must vote. There is no alternative, and you've got to vote for the Democrats. And the reason is because it is the only chance we have to stop this insanity. So now is the time to get yourself together and get ready to vote and get out there, because this is affecting you. And when you don't vote, others use that against you. Your non-vote is a vote. It is a vote to allow the status quo to continue, and the status quo, like we have now, cannot continue. And so you've got to go out and vote. Please do it. If you have early voting in your state, do it. If you don't have early voting in your state, New York does not, unfortunately, make sure that you've got plans when you're going to get there, how you're going to get there, when the polls are open, where your polling place is. Please note all of this. And if you check vote411.org, you will be able to actually get to a place where you can see details about the voting information in your state. So please do. And if you've already voted or are ready to vote and are registered to vote, tell everyone you know. Thank you, Rella Song. That's super awesome. Thank you. That's a big first step. But remember, you also got to bring it home by also voting. So thank you for registering to vote, Rella Song. That's really awesome. Make sure you let people know, too. Bring friends. The people who tell you, oh, my vote doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Yes, it matters a lot. And your vote is going to be critically essential. So please, 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 it has to happen. Yeah, don't get me started on Bernie Sanders. But no, I don't want to get into that. The point is, Miranda, just not voting for the Republican there. You've got to vote Democrat because we can't have third-party votes. We can't have split votes. We've got to be voting against the Republican that have put us into this terrible, disastrous mess that is just awful. So we've got to get someone who can stand up for that insanity. The main thing is to vote. So make sure that you do that. However, I'm going to get on out of here because I got my stream coming up. But thanks for the reminder, Trend. That's important. I will see all of you wonderful people on over at GOG at 4 p.m. and then back here on my channel at 9 p.m. tonight for the R Vocalists. Thank you to my wonderful mods, 10 of Clubs. Great job today. Thank you for holding down the fort. Thank you to 10 of Clubs, Rala Song, Trendane for being subscribers. I really appreciate that. Thank you to IAK Enforcer for being a supporter of the Patreon as well. And I know others are like that don't show up in the list. So thank you for those of you who support the Patreon. Thank you to Banana MNN. Thank you to Commander Root, to Crit Twitch, to Divinorium, Ekag, Fozzieman, Jagtris, Jet Li, Joker. Thank you to Keetanog. Thank you to Kooky Canuck. What's up, Kooky? Thank you to Marindo, to Mr. Mano. Thank you to Polizei. Thank you to Positivity Bot. All these bots. Thank you to Skinny Seahorse. Thank you to Slow Cool, to subcentral.net. Thank you to you, Christensen. Thank you to Uncle Elias. Elias, we just had a encounter with you today, so to speak. Thank you to V&K, thank you to Virgo Praz, and thank you to the amazing Zach Clay, who will be back tonight with our vocalists. Thank you all. I love you all. Best viewers on Twitch, as I've said many times. You guys are great, and I will see you over at GOG at 4 p.m. for the wonderment known as the release stream. Well, first of all, Pen and Pixels, and then also the wonderment known as Thronebreaker. Until then, thanks everybody, and I will talk to you in about an hour. Until then, be good to each other. Have a good day.
Fresh and new, when it all seemed clear to you, when your aim was straight and true. Were your mind untroubled by the questions in the dark, content to play your part, open pathways to your heart? Were your life untainted by a host of broken dreams, when all your acts were queens, understood all that it means? Could you have understood the way your life was bound? Did you ever wonder how you got from there to now? Oh yes, you're gonna fly away from here, where the sky grows more clear, and your problems disappear, drift away down below. Watch them go down to your friends, where the trouble never ends, and there's always just one more day left to go. Now through your pile of broken lies, and your set of fake goodbyes, another cynical disguise. When will they catch you? All those little things you said, will it turn around instead? Blame the voices in your head. With all your subtle language, try and turn your life around. If your center gets unwound, you do your best to slow things down. And if you feel things that you never felt before, that shook you to your core, a shattered truth you can ignore. Oh yes, you're gonna fly away from here, where the sky grows more clear, and your problems disappear. mission. Life is